It makes perfect sense now that I think about it, because you're talking about the tongue that falls back, blocks the airway. So I guess the tongue is a muscle. So if the muscle becomes flaccid with age, to increase tonicity or tone of the muscle, makes sense. It would probably cause it to thrust forward and create a bigger, more patent airway. That's awesome. I got to check that thing out. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you a question. I mean, I could talk to you for hours on this, but if I'm somebody, and we're going to get to where people can find you, and I will be taking this chrono quiz immediately after we hang up, because clearly I need it. But let me ask you, let's just say I discover this bottle, and I rub, and the Sleep Genie comes out of this bottle.
Yep.
And I say to the Sleep Genie, give me one. So you're the Sleep Genie. So give me the best tip, Sleep Genie, that you can think will change my sleep tonight. What would you say that? And that's probably a hard question, but I only got one question. So make it as good as possible. What are you going to tell my listeners? What are you going to tell me?
No problem. So generally speaking, genies give 3 wishes, not 1 wish.
Right. That's why.
So I'm going to give you 3 things to do, not 1 thing. I'm going to take a little liberty here. Because I
love this genie. What a great genie you are.
Right. I'm willing to give a few wishes away for sure. So like I said before,
that's right.
Step number 1 is to have 1 wake up time. Do not change your wake up time. Weekday, weekend, same as always. Step number 2 is to stop caffeine by 2 p.m. Now you'll notice I didn't say stop caffeine altogether, right? It's very rare that you're going to be able to find anybody who is a regular caffeine drinker to just quit like that. Number one, and number 2, I wouldn't recommend it. Especially if you're a large caffeine drinker. I've had 2 patients end up in the ER when they went cold turkey off of drinking.
Yeah, that's a tremendous withdrawal. Absolutely.
So please be careful. But if you stop caffeine by 2 p.m., most people don't know it, but caffeine has a half-life of 6 to 8 hours, depending upon how fast of a metabolizer you are. So if you stop at 2, by 10, at least half of it is out of your system.
Gotcha.
So that's a great place to start. Here's a little known fact that most people don't know, but the quarter life of caffeine is 12 hours. So a quarter of the amount that you have drunk during the day is still in your system 12 hours later.
Wow. So for you, those of you guys, when we talk about half lives and quarter lives out there, the listeners, it's the amount of time it takes for that amount of substance to be released from the body. So what he's saying is basically, if you take, let's just say for numbers, simplicity, 100 milligrams at noon, a quarter life means that at midnight, you're still going to have 25 milligrams floating around.
Exactly.
Gotcha. See, I can do my math too. It's incredible. Okay. Number 3, Genie, Sleep Genie. Lay it on me.
Number 2. Hold on. I haven't finished quite yet.
Okay.
So many people out there are going to say, that's BS. I can drink coffee and I can fall asleep immediately. And many people can. Okay. Number 1, people have different caffeine sensitivities. So there's a little bit of a difference there. But let me be clear. Caffeine is a stimulant. Okay.
Period.
I don't care if you can fall asleep. If I measure your EEG, it's way out of whack if you're trying to sleep with caffeine on board. I don't care what you say. I can tell you that the quality of the sleep that you're getting is really no bueno, as I like to say. Step number 3 has to do with alcohol. There's a really big difference between going to sleep and passing out. Okay. So we would remember.
You hear that, everyone?
Like, come on, guys. People don't think about it like this, but I wish that they would. Alcohol is an anesthetic, okay? So think about it like that. When you anesthetize your brain by drinking too much close to bedtime, here's what happens is your brain thinks it's the time that you started drinking. You then pass out. When you wake up, your circadian rhythm has not changed. Your brain still thinks it's back to where it was. This is one of the reasons why when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to pee, you can't fall back asleep after you've had a bender type of a scenario. Also, you burn through all of the sugar from the alcohol and you wake up immediately. So there's a lot of issues when you talk about alcohol and sleep. But I want to be clear about something. I like scotch, okay? I like beer and I like wine. So Michael, how do we do
I like you.
Right?
I like you, Sleep Genie, because I like all those things.
Right? So how do we do this? So remember, it takes the average human approximately 1 hour to digest one alcoholic beverage. So here's what I tell people. Rule number 3 generally is stop drinking 3 hours before bed. If you've had 2 drinks. So here's how it works. If you have 1 drink, have 1 glass of water, wait 1 hour. If you have 2 drinks, have 2 glasses of water and wait 2 hours. The problem comes when you hit the 3rd drink. When you hit the 3rd drink, you've got enough alcohol in your system where you're starting to get a pretty good buzz going, and your brain is wondering what that buzz thing is going on. And so it spikes cortisol because you're becoming a little bit off and it doesn't understand why. Now you're a energized drunk.
Right.
That's not going to work for bed.
And hydrated. So if you're a guy, you're peeing even more, which is that's the thing I tell people with prostate. This guys, listen, we have it way easier than women, let me tell you, but the prostate is a pain in the butt. But I tell, guys who struggle with that prostate, listen, pee before you go to bed, limit your intake of fluids, stay hydrated early, get on it early, right when you wake up, but don't be drinking a ton of water at like midnight, So, I mean, it all makes sense.
Yeah. And one thing I tell people is if you do find yourself drinking a lot of water, you may want to get checked for diabetes. That is an early sign, right, of diabetes. Remember, diabetes has a dramatic effect on sleep. We know a lot of people with diabetes also have sleep apnea. And so there's a whole correlation that goes on in there. So if you do find yourself hydrating for what you think is no apparent reason, you may want to get your sugar checked.